what you're right is, yes, these are interchangeable. I is to -1 as -1 is to I. So they're interchangeable. Okay? So if you just want to use this problem as just as negative i's, that's fine. Or square root of -1s, that's perfectly fine. However, as we're working through this problem, we're just going to be using them as I. So the first thing, you guys see there's no i's here, right? There's nothing here. So you can multiply them. I already showed you guys how to multiply square roots. You multiply, apply distributive property. Since these are both, since they both have the same root or index, you can multiply and multiply the radicands. But why do you guys want to multiply 12 times 27? First of all, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Anyways, so the first thing I would do is simplify my square roots. So remember, when we're simplifying square roots, you could do the old factor tree, or the way that I like to do it is break it down into numbers you can take the square root of. And also, I know I can't take the square root of a negative number, so I'm going to rewrite that times -1. OK. So do you guys see? Yeah, it's a 9. Do you guys see how I broke up each square root? Yes? No, you're going to. Square root of 4 is 2. So this is really 3 times 2. I can't break down the square root of 3, so that remains there. I can break down the square root of -1, right? I can leave it there if you want, or I can just write it as I. Then I have 5 minus 2 times square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 3, I. Follow me? Then I can multiply these numbers. So it's 6 square root of 3, I, times 5 minus 6 square root of 3, I. So now what I've done is I've simplified this. I've simplified both radicals, as well as simplified the square roots to include I. Got it? Now I can apply distributive property. Now, when we are applying this, you're basically multiplying 6 square root of 3i times both of these terms. When we do that, remember, we multiply what's on the outside times our terms. And then if there's any terms in the radicand, we multiply them as well. So 5 times 6 square root of 3i is just going to be 30 square root of 3i. I multiply the 5 times the 6. I can't multiply 5 inside the radical. However, I can multiply square root of 3 times square root of 3. So I multiply 6 times -6, which is a -36. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is just 3. Then I times I can multiply those, gives me I squared. And what does I squared represent? I did. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 equals the square root of 9. What is the square root of 9? 3. So I didn't have to use the radical anymore.
Is it times 3 or minus 3?
It's times 3. Now, I have to multiply. I can't simplify anything here. I have to multiply 3 times, or -3 times 3. 3 times 2 is 72. Times or adds another 36 would be 108. And then I squared is equal to what? What's I squared equal to? -1. So -108 times -1 is now equal to positive 108. So the main important thing, guys, is to simplify your radicals so they're in terms of I.